camera, man. That's right, I cover up the camera. I actually like this lighting. I like things that look like they're on like VHS quality. This is great. I love that background looks smeared. It's actually a glass case with like china and glasses and things in it. I love the cinematography right here. This is great. So what I'm doing is, as an artist who does experimental projects, also spiritual experimental projects, I am always looking to work on myself while helping others at the same time. And last week, I came into this house, which is my father's house, that I lived in briefly in my late teenage years, early 20s, and it's being sold. He's moving on. That's great for him. Very excited for him. Yet, there's a lot of memories here of my stepmother who passed away from cancer. And there's a lot of energy in this place. This is a extremely active area. And for people who are spiritually active and engage in medium work, service to others, helping out at hospice, free medium work for serious reasons, not for entertainment, you learn that this is how I want to help some other people who have the same issue. You learn how to sometimes compartmentalize your loss into sacred areas sometimes. And what I mean by this is, I feel like right now, like 2.5 years later, I'm actually really experiencing the loss of my stepmother as the property is being sold, along with the property, in the same way that people who are not on this particular spiritual path would have had happen to them right after the death, the transition rather. And so what's happening here, it's not a depression. It's definitely a bittersweet sadness. It's extremely overwhelming, right when I walk in. And then after I sit down and take in the property, it levels out. But what's really interesting here is this is a great way to record something that can be spiritually significant, because part of this project here is to get 1 or 2 people that might stumble in here, and they're drawn here for a reason, no promotion. And it's opening up a spiritual space where you can grieve if you've lost someone. I might be talking, I might not. But if you believe that you can link up non-locally, holographically, at any point around the globe with someone who is not only sitting in a telluric area, but also actively works on maintaining sites and maintaining their spirit organ, proboscis. There's not really better descriptions, kind of funny descriptions, but there's no laughing matter, because you can gain extra access as long as you understand visualization, consciousness calibration. And yes, it's Friday. I'm not doing anything. I'm on a spiritual path right now. So I'm working on mastering service to others. Fun times are over for me. It's all about work right now. So what I'm doing is I'm opening up a space where I'm grieving within this property. Like when I came in here, it almost knocked me over. The sadness, the sadness almost knocked me over. It's overwhelming, but it's not depression. It's just all the memories are hitting you at once. And it's beautiful, really. And for people to have this heightened consciousness extension, because they've leveled out their minds through hotspots and contact with higher densities, it's it's a visual thing. And there's a lot of that amber and rose color going on. I actually brought the rose quartz that was associated with my stepmother right after she passed. And so this is like I don't know, it's kind of like a bereavement in a way, but a happy bereavement. But it's for the property, it's for my stepmother, and it's for how I can experience other people who have passed on as I'm here. And it's really bittersweet leaving an active site. And I only come over here to see my dad, or I would only come over like maybe once every 2 weeks, or sometimes once a week. But the energy of the property is what's really hard for me, because or not even just the energy, just having those special moments where, before my stepmother passed away, we experienced a major supernatural phenomenon right over there. And that opened up something as well. It's like it added a whole other layer of activity to this location, spiritual activity that can be observed and felt. And so as I sit here and do positive grieving, not knowing at all what I'm going to talk about or get into, I want to remind people that just sitting here and realizing you can connect somehow with this property, and and you should be able to become healed somehow as you're sitting here, whether it's just temporary, whether you can take it with you. And I'm open for questions. What are my qualifications? It's some guy that's a little strange. He's been known to wear sizzle jackets and things like that. Like, what's my qualifications? Well, I spent a lot of time in a hot spot. Okay, and I've had my consciousness enhanced through these spots, and I've received information from having countless supernatural experiences of how service to other workers are supposed to go about their mission. And I think there's some confusion about that. And I'm also a hospice volunteer. I volunteer talking to mental health patients, anybody that's going through loss, anybody who's having supernatural experiences where they can't quite define it. One of the hardest things to do is talk about strange things. Like you want to, I'm telling you, like if you start having strange things happen to you, like you're seeing light phenomena, and you're seeing sort of like traditional, what we would call ghosts, things like that, it's hard to talk about it. And you'll notice right away that no matter how close the person is that you start talking about the subject matter subjects with, it's like a point of no return. They'll never quite look at you the same. And a lot of times at first people will be like, oh, sure, yeah, this is interesting what you're going through, and they act like they're getting into it. But when they realize you're serious, that's a whole other ballgame. Like I was talking to a professor a year ago or so about possibly using academia in some form to show this non-local connection that I can only say so much about. And this guy was going, this professor, a tenured professor, he was kind of like, I started to describe it vaguely. And he's like, oh, this is quantum, this is quantum, this involves quantum viewing and things like that. And he was keeping it academic. And I was letting him talk, then I was just politely kind of saying, no, it's not really that. And then as I started to explain what was going on with this non-local holographic connection, for a moment, there was like this brief look of almost like terror or something, because he realized that I was serious. and you can tell when someone's dead serious. And that happens with family members too. Like when they realize that you're serious, and especially if you can show something, that you can do something. I'm just going to leave it at that. Be very vague here. I almost think like it cracks some kind of barrier between people who have had their spirit organ unwound and people that have it. It almost creates this no compute zone, because people, when they see that you're serious about what you're talking about, and this is without being preachy, this is with choosing a good friend, good family member, you'll just notice, and it's kind of heartbreaking too, to see someone that's that trusted and that loved start to shift their opinion of you because they don't have a way to define or process someone looking at them. And oh, hi, there's someone there. And yeah, hey, what's going on, man? So I'm just kind of like, I'm actually grieving right now, but it's not a depression grieving. And I think it's good to record this kind of stuff, just as like an artist that likes to, sometimes I'll press the record button on an instrument and just do like an hour thing. I think freestyle format is great. And it doesn't matter what I'm saying. What's up? How to find true love. Okay, sorry, man. Well, first you got to define true love. That's kind of subjective. Does true love involve someone being attractive? Is that important to you? What's the criteria? Because for me, it's attention span. I've learned over the years, as I'm 42, that attention span ends up being, I don't care if you look like Quasimodo or something, after a certain amount of years pass, I think true love is about someone who really cares about what you have to say, and you have similar interests, and you have there's a chemistry that's unspoken as well. There's certain authors that cover that. I think there's a guy who wrote a book called Pleased to Be Me, about 8 years ago, very accessible. Pleased to Meet Me, I think it's called. I have to look at my bookshelf, which is not here. And he actually breaks down that chemical interaction between people. Like when you see someone, there's a chemistry that just goes off that transcends physical appearance and things like that. So how to find true love is a complex question, and it's subjective to each person, and you have to define what love, like what are you looking for in love? A lot of people that are on a spiritual path are celibate, so like, what is love with celibacy? It's different for everybody. So to answer a question about how to find true love, you would need a little bit of you need to list at least 5 bullet points about what's important to you, and then look at those bullet points and say, is this realistic? Reminds me of that. Well, I'm not going to get into that, but so I think I started a little earlier here, and what I'll do is I'll go ahead and head out to the garage. I'm trying to figure out, like, should I try to cheer myself up a little bit? What do we do? Because this is just an experiment to open up a space. I don't usually do live streams. Maybe I'll go out to the garage and smoke some cannabis. Maybe I'll put on a sizzle jacket. Maybe play a saxophone. But just sitting in the spot in the last hours, I thought last weekend was going to be the final time using this location. But, tonight, maybe tomorrow, maybe it'll be a part 5. I don't know. But I'm interested as well in people who are experiencing loss. So what was I saying? Yeah, supernatural situations. Like it's hard to talk about that kind of stuff too. I mean, NDEs. Did you have a near-death experience and don't want to talk about it? Um, are you ill? Are you experiencing a terminal illness that you don't want to talk about? Are you scared about what's going on in the world? I have to stay away from politics, so can't really get into the intricacies. But are you scared about AI? And when we do a meditation, how you utilize a space that opens up, is you sit there and you ask for healing during the meditation. And if you truly believe in non-local holographic connections, then you can receive a heightened access, a heightened level of access, just by imagining that you're linking up with a spiritual space that's on a telluric current. Eventually leads out to Serpent Mound. It's linked up with Great Pyramid, linked up with stone circles out in Scotland. All these places are under this grid that works throughout the globe that we can repair. There's certain people that are being called right now that actually can repair this thing. Oh, hey, look, it's Philip White. What's going on, man? Yeah, I'm just sitting here. I just figured I would come back to this property, and I'm grieving, and I want people to know that it's not a depression. Like it's all the past memories of this property coming together with the epitome of this bittersweet accumulation being my stepmother. I can sense her right now. Like, I can smell her scents, and there's all kinds of candles she used, and the energy. I knew she's right here, and this being a telluric hotspot, it's just overwhelming energy in here. And that's what's so sad is when you work a hotspot, you spend a lot of time, making it okay. Right on, man. Yeah, that's all it is, man. I'm just opening up this spot. I'll probably do a meditation here. Probably go out and smoke some cannabis, and that's it, man. Just this area is open. It's a heightened level of consciousness, and I'm just sitting here, trying to remember the best memories about my stepmother, and they're coming easily. And I might light a candle, one of her candles. I'm just kind of just being here, and I'll read some stuff, and it's real good to see you pop in, man, So what I'll do now is I will hit this singing bowl a couple times and get it going, and then I'll go out to the garage, probably put on a sizzle jacket, smoke some cannabis. Then I will come in and read the intro story from Freddie Silva's The Lost Art of Living Resurrection, which is something I also sent to Dave. I photocopied it. It's like 3 pages. It talks about seeing through your regular eyes and seeing through your spirit eyes, and how when you accept the path of being able to see through your spirit eyes, you have to stay on that path, or you can lose that ability. You could unwind your spirit organ. So if anybody stumbles in here, this is an area where if you're feeling depressed, if you're going through a type of loss like this too, or it could be a property, and so what I was saying when I a couple minutes ago, where I have compartmentalized my emotions towards my stepmother who passed a couple of years ago. In I sort of placed them inside the house, if that makes any sense. And so now that the house is leaving, it's being sold, and there's no like bad reasons why it's being sold. This is a totally natural um, reasons for selling it. But I'm having this loss that's like, for some strange reason, the most amplified loss experience I've ever been through. But I'm equipped to handle it. But it was so debilitating when I first came over here that I could barely walk. Oh, do I have a telegram? No, I live under a rock, man. Like I live in like ancient town. Like I couldn't even really figure out how to even live stream. I had to hit replay chat so I could just see the chats. Yeah, so I don't actually have Telegram. Like I don't do Instagram. I tried doing Instagram once for my music stuff, and like I ended up like filming myself, like doing something really embarrassing. Like I was like, "Is this working? Is this?" And, See, unfortunately, you pretend like it's 1995 when you're talking to me. Like I don't really, But you guys can call me if anybody wants to call me at certain times. Or my email address is tomlin45@gmail.com, and I'll type that in. I think if I can do that, sometimes you can't do that on you. Can I do it? Yeah, there's my email address though. Yeah, there's never any time that anybody's bothering me. Yeah, I'm never bothered. I'm trying to spend all of my time engaged in volunteer work and like hospice work and all that, and grid maintenance. The regular Rob's life is gone. That's my name, Rob. Engaged in research, 24/7, supernatural, grid maintenance. That's what we're doing here. So, okay, so I'm going to go out and, maybe I'll just put on a sizzle jacket or something like that, cheer myself up a little bit. Go smoke some cannabis after we do a little bowl meditation here. That's cool, man. I like this cinematography here. That's cool. It's all blurry. These guys don't know what they're doing when they get high-tech cameras, man. This looks like an old VHS. I love it. Look at that. That looks cool, man. Learn that if your sound bowl moves like it just did on the Slicker service, you can keep the sound going. I didn't realize that. Just kind of got it started again. So this is not yet a meditation. I don't like short meditations. Let's say the shortest I'll do is 10 minutes. I do believe in walking meditation, which is basically just a breathing exercise. Thich Nhat Hanh covers that really well. And and I do smoke cannabis. It is the weekend. I don't have to work. I also have a medical prescription for that. Is that necessary? Absolutely not. but I think I will do that here tonight. And yeah, you know what? I'm going to go and put on a sizzle jacket, go out to the garage and smoke some cannabis, and maybe I'll start to cheer myself up a little bit. And again, it's not depression; it's just bittersweet, constructive sadness. But yeah, let's. This is what I'll do. Yeah, 420 is a good time. It's a time that I always enjoy. I'm also a health person, though. You know, like I exercise every day and I try to eat healthy. You got to balance things out a little bit. You know, got to balance things out. So if you want to smoke a cannabis, make sure to eat healthy. You know, make sure to do 30 minutes of exercise a day. But yeah, it's 420. You know what I mean? What is the? Oh yeah. So 420. Well, yeah. Sometimes I hope he didn't take some edibles, man, because he was thin. I'm hoping he didn't like. I'm just gonna say this for a second because like I'd also sent him a bunch of edibles. Like I hope he didn't like take some edibles and like, you know how sometimes like if you lose a lot of weight, it'll have an extra effect. Maybe then he had like a depression manifestation. Oh gosh. No. But yeah, 420 will never be the same. But Dave would not want you to have your 420 ruined because of that. So maybe it's 420, but also Dave Remembrance Day. So it actually can turn into a party, which he would have liked. And as much as I didn't really enjoy seeing that one. I didn't watch really much Dave stuff, but I did kind of catch my attention when one came up saying Dave's friend speaks out, you know, and this guy's interviewing Dave's friend. It wasn't the greatest friend to choose because he wasn't saying the greatest stuff about Dave, but he did say that he was his best person at parties. Now, is that flattering? No, but it did show us how entertaining he was in that kind of situation. So I think he would want us to not be sad on 420 and just use it as a day to have your normal 420 and then also remember the comedy bits. So I don't think Dave would want your 420 to get messed up. I think what he would want is to have you watch the Angry Daddy clips. And I've been trying to collect a lot of those, and I just can't promote stuff, but if you search my name on Twitter, you can find a nice selection of, it's just me holding my phone up to the my laptop. This is all low grade here. You know, I like what this looks like. Look at that. It looks like, woo. Why would you want it to be all clear? That looks cool. But yeah, and then, you know, and that's what I think Dave would want. And something that I've been doing too, because I like long meditations, I like to go to the end of the show and watch several of them at a time, you know, and there was one beautiful one where I'm telling you guys, like he channeled something, like he was talking about the bullet train coming to pick people up. I think I even commented, I can't remember what show that was, but it was so poetic. The most poetic guided meditator I can think of, I think, is Dave Wilcox. That's his most underrated thing is those great meditations. Yeah, so that's a good little thing you brought up there. Yeah, 420, and there's unfortunately going to be a little bit of a morning that might go on for a minute, but then David wants you to pick right back up and sizzle, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put on a sizzle jacket and go out to the garage, smoke some cannabis, and come back in, do a little meditation, and then read that passage. That's what I'll do. 420 time. And you know, you're saying like, what kind of show? This isn't a show. You know, I'm just opening up a space, and I'm not going to be able to do it again because this house won't be accessible. So I want to record beauty of this environment. just can't, why let yourself get down? Just put on a jacket, put on some sizz. Ow! I just pulled a butt muscle. Ow! Well, a lot of memories here. Got some good scenery here. I'm really happy with how this camera looks. The whole thing is shrouded in this cool light. I mean, I know it's the settings, but I don't remember setting my camera like that. Okay, yeah, it's probably some film from this tape that was on. That's awesome. It's great. See, there's the Bud Light things. Like, what is it? What even is that? Like, I don't even know where those came from. Like, I don't. What is going on with that Bud Light containers? I think they're going to use them for like something involving like a property sale or something. Who's my cinematographer? This is great. Like, I love this. Looks like an art film. Yeah, don't hit the like button. Don't subscribe. I don't need any of that. These are real healing services, nothing up my sleeve. I'm not making any money. You can donate to my squirrels. Someone wants to donate a bag of nuts, unsalted. The squirrel has left me with 6 babies. Yeah, so the squirrel came to my window. I'm not into squirrels. She came to my window and she was, nice, and I started feeding her. And she got really fat. I'm like, where'd she get fat? And she was pregnant, and so I built her a box. Okay, I ordered one off of Amazon, and I assembled it, and I didn't build it from scratch. I cut down a tree. No, I built her this, little squirrel box. And then she had babies. And I was like, oh, that was a harsh winter. I bet you maybe one will survive. A lot of times they get hit by cars, what have you, or predators take them. But they all survive. And they come to my window and they want food. So now I'm feeding like 7 squirrels, 2 betta fish, and 2 cats. These squirrels are getting expensive. You're not supposed to feed them peanuts or corn. I don't know why they advertise that. It's like you go to the pet store and they're like, here, buy poison and give it to squirrels, and put a little bench shelf, stick a piece of corn on it, and feed it poison. That's not good. It gives them the runs, and then when it gets hot out, they get dehydrated. You want to give them almonds, pecans, walnuts, not cashews. Those are like laxatives for squirrels. Yeah, so now I'm taking care of these squirrels, so let's see here. They come to my window, they we want nuts. We want almonds. Feed us. Is this? I hit this? Yep, live from the garage with a bunch of Bud Light boxes in the back. What the hell's going on over there? Crowbar? What's going on over here? Don't run with scissors. Don't run with scissors. Okay, that's not safe. What am I doing? Yeah, whenever you're feeling down, you can always break out into dance, and everything's fine. Do an Irish jig. Yeah, I just want to loosen up the muscles before the meditation. This is a high-tech set here. There's a trash can, some boxes in the back, some Bud Light boxes. I don't drink. This is my dad's house. And we have a crowbar. What more could you ask for a set? We've got an extension cord. Not going back inside. This is it. I'm staying here, and the entire time. All right. Enough of that. Middle-aged man. Okay, that was pretty funny. This got stuck. Okay. Middle-aged man in a garage. Okay, enough of that. All right, we got a great show here. I got nothing. That's it. No, just joking. Well, I'm definitely very happy with the cinematography that's going on here. That looks the way that it looks here, all that blurriness, that's wonderful. Ah, it's got the VHS look. Yeah, you know, you can create your own lighting effects just by blurring things and zooming into light. It's all hidden information there. You can figure out the code there. Because things live inside the light now, don't they? The suede pestle that operates the singing bowl. The suede pestle makes the sound. We breathe in the overwhelming almost energy of the property. That would be a lot easier if there was a strong feminine presence around. But that's where we have to draw out my stepmother from the nearby dimension and bring her into the property to balance out the masculine, feminine currents so that it's not as overwhelming and it can receive messages and hear. You hear voices a lot and sentences come through nature spirits, such as the cat water fountain that was in the kitchen. And I could sit here, and when you're tuning things out during meditation, water is an interesting way where a family member might come through that medium, the trickling of the water on a faucet or a cat water fountain, because it sort of distributes the water in a way that brings a better audio effect. And you get yourself to a point where you're feeling the loving memories of the recently passed person. And you listen into the water, into the trickling, and you ask to hear them clear as day. And you sit and you tune out all other sounds but the water. And you listen for their voice. Because if you do it just right, you can hear full sentences in a calm, loving stream. As I sit here in a hotspot, active region, I allow easy access for anyone else that understands how to link up non-locally and instantaneously. How do you do this? You simply believe. You believe this is the way the universe works, where you can travel through waves, through light, not just across the globe, but through other dimensions instantaneously. I'm not asking, I'm telling. And you can link up with people that have simply moved on, simply moved into another level of consciousness outside of the body. And as I sit here in this site, we're right over there, a few feet away, I saw full-fledged paranormal phenomenon in the most holographic mode that you can experience here. There's different modes. And I process the power of this location and give access to anyone else tuning in. And we remember the original tone, the original geometric form, and we see ourselves in everything else, in everyone else. And locations are opening up, spiritual archetypes are opening up because of this ascension timeline. Can you see the potential? Can you wake up? Do you know something that other people don't know that is inexplicable? Is your consciousness seeming a little strange lately? Can you see a mist surrounding a crystal? Do you feel a higher calling? Are the synchronicities becoming overwhelming? Are you seeing phenomena? Like-minded people who fit the definition of disassociative, according to Kenneth Ring's book, The Omega Project, need to link up so that we can clear our mind waves together and reactivate the locations around the globe that will allow everyone to wake up without having to go through initiation. Healing will no longer rely on pharmacology. Healing will be able to happen right down the street by a local shaman. When the problem of evil gets out of everyone's consciousness, why do people hurt other people? It doesn't need to happen. This spot is active. The energy is overwhelming, and it's in a good way. You can jump in to this stream. Have you done service to others deeds lately? you should stop and do 3 good deeds. Not out of some sort of like monotheistic, hey, look, I did this, now I received this. You do the 3 good deeds, and then you ask early in the morning, I want to begin. I want to begin to take responsibility for my ascension duty. And then you wait. And you wait to see if anything happens instantaneously. Did you see something? Did you feel anything? Did your consciousness shift somehow? And then you do 3 more good deeds. Now, if you have it in you to just go down to a hospice and sit there with somebody, you'll get a boost. Behind me, I have a rose quartz, which was associated with my stepmother and was the color that I experienced through prana in just the general consciousness after she passed away. So rose quartz holds a particular significance. And that's why I brought it. So as we visualize this stream that is propagated in a heightened fashion by someone who went through initiation, and when that person sits within a geometrically aligned spot, they can give off a potential for someone else to jump into. Now, before we begin the next meditation, we remind ourselves that it thinks me, it works me, and it weaves me into the fabric of the cosmos. Up there, someone asked how to find true love, and something else came to me. It has to be unconditional. You know, people say, oh, this is unconditional love, and well, is it? Are there conditions that can change that? If someone becomes paralyzed or if they have a neurological issue, do those conditions change your definition of love. And, I don't think this person is there anymore. And it's 56 minutes since that question was asked. I think that happened right away, but that's what love is. If you have the ability to pull out material definitions, and I said earlier that attention span is the most important thing for me in finding love, assuming that you meant um, a romantic love type of a situation. And I say attention span and making sure that you have some sort of definition of unconditional that would entail further responsibility if that person succumbed to their mind or to a physical ailment. That is true love, where there's no conditions that can alter that love. And this also includes, your elderly when they start to break down. It's a responsibility to continue to take care of them. Okay, so this isn't I'm gonna go ahead and take this off right now. Let's see. That's pretty cool. That just came to me. It's like, let's turn this thing on. Wow, that was a good idea. Look at that. Whoa, man. These are good. Naturally occurring special effects here tonight. Whoa, man. Look at that. Well, portal is opened up in the living room. We'll just sit here and well, moving forward, I wanted to read. No, that's a light that I turned on. It's has a slide thing in it. It has a pattern. Freddie Silva's book here. Make sure to. I was just going to read the intro. I don't think I have to, as long as I'm showing the citing this here, right? And when you open this up, there's a little introduction. This is a must read, I would say. And it says a Scottish fairy tale, Faery. There once dwelt in Nithsdale a woman who was enabled by fairy aid to see spirits of the dead in the other world. This is how it came about. All right, so I'm going to grab my beverage real quick and drink it, and then we'll talk about the Scottish fairy tale. The Scottish fairy tale. Sorry, I'm a little hyper. It's in Freddie Silva's books. I mean, you should, if you're engaging in service to others, serious mystery practices to help the planet, you definitely need to have Freddie Silva's books, hardcover, in your book collection. That's just a must. All right, so I'm gonna just get a beverage here, and then we'll get going. Whoop. Being sucked into the portal. Whoop. Getting sucked into the portal. Sorry, the portal was trying to suck me into it, and I once I get in the chair, I'm okay. Whew. It's trying to suck me into the portal. What just happened? Okay, so a Scottish fairy tale. Introduction to someone here. I think someone's here. Just a second.
I do know that I'm not much with the wall here. I'm doing a YouTube live stream here, but that's a spiritual live stream.
Oh,
So it's not.
Okay.
No, not the way I'm saying you care if you're being filmed. Like it's like I'm just meditating. Like it's not like.
I actually respect you doing this.
Yeah, so I just had the colored light going on here. Yeah, yeah, so that's one of them.
Okay.
The other one is actually over here. I believe this is one of the ones too. It's not secure.
Okay.
Wall. Yeah, it's remember there's two.
All right. I will take a look at it. Let's. What about the cord? Do you know the cord that you mentioned?
The cord. What was it? What did he say?
He said something about the patio that might be the outlet. Can you, an old wire from the security system the prior owner used is shown by the patio door.
Okay, let's, yeah. I'm just gonna keep this going, yeah, because I'm just gonna keep this one on. I don't think anybody's gonna watch it right now. There's still, someone has showed up. Just hold on a second here. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm just talking into the camera. Hold on one second. You guys, there's some like wire thing over there. I know it's over there some.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I want to see.
You want
I
me
want
to
to do that.
Well, no, I don't want, because like the last, like, I didn't want to make it seem like you couldn't do your thing. You know, I don't want to weird you out, because I'm like a spiritual person. I'm just like, I've been doing this, I can end this stream, like,
What I'm not worried about you guys. You can be here all night as far as I'm concerned. I'm not going to make a lot of noise. It is the water thing, and I don't want to stop you from doing what you need to get done.
Well, are you gonna, is it gonna be reconnected?
Yeah, by the time I leave.
Well, yeah, we can just stop the load, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't wanna obstruct anything, I don't wanna like, I think maybe last time I did wrong with the pressure, I was just getting ready to go to sleep, I was actually trying to send you away, and I don't wanna upset anybody, like, I wanna send my now or anything.
Okay, yeah, no, that's all right. I don't want to cause any employees. I wasn't.
I just want you to I'm kind of strange, like, I'm just doing like, having me read stuff into I think I'll continue doing that. Is that okay, you get upstairs?
Fine, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just doing meditating, I don't talk that much. This is actually a really, this is an active spot. This is an active spiritual spot.
Yeah.
Phenomenon or something. Yeah, this is this. I'm glad you said, yeah, that's what it is. I haven't seen three spiritual phenomenon right up back. So, yeah, and so I just figure I'd take advantage of the property because even just doing a live stream, you can link up with energy of the property.
Okay. Well, good luck and have fun.
Yeah, well, yeah, and so we can just stop this. So I'll go down and,
Oh no, you're driving now. The drive's fine.
oh, so there's nothing in the,
The washer says.
oh, so for some reason, I'll just move the thing from the washer. And then we'll just, see that. Okay. Okay,
Okay, well, so a gentleman has showed up down there. He's going to do some work, and we will continue with reading a Scottish fairy tale. Wait a minute, I'm going to go and this is like a half an hour of me saying, "Hold on a second, I'll be right back." Beverage, this is going to be a great one. Got to get back in the mindset. So we will get this bowl going. For ascension workers, meditation is not a convenience, it's a dedication. And you're going to have to go extended periods of time engaging in that practice, unless you can find a space where you don't have to worry about going into the outside world very much. And the actual meditation sessions don't have to be as regimented. And you can actually get to the point where you're constantly in this state of meditation. Going hours at a time without responding to a bell, phone, should be very easy. Access is about calibration. When you're calibrated, you see through the veil. If you have it in you to want to learn the secrets, the mysteries of the universe and beyond, the information can come to you through calibration. Now, I will begin this Scottish fairy tale, which is the introduction to The Lost Art of Resurrection, which is an essential read. And it's also titled Initiation, Secret Chambers, and the Quest for the Otherworld, Freddie Silva. Now I have to step aside just for a minute, and then I will not do that anymore. Someone did show up who is going to be doing some general work here at the property. I think he has since left. I'm not sure. But I will be right back. A Scottish Fairy Tale from Freddie Silva's book, The Lost Art of Resurrection. One day, she sat spinning wool in her house. Her baby lay in a cradle beside her, listening to the soft humming sound of the spinning wheel and her mother's sweet song. Suddenly, a rustling, like the rustling of dead leaves in the wind, was heard at the door. The woman looked up and saw a beautiful lady, clad in green and carrying a baby. She entered and, smiling sweetly, spoke and said, "Will you nurse my bonny baby until I return?" The woman answered, "Yes, I shall do that." She took the baby in her arms, and the lady went away, promising to return. But the day went past, and the night came on, and still she did not come back for her child. The woman wondered greatly, but she wondered even more the next morning when she awoke to find beside her bed beautiful new clothes for her children and some delicious cakes. Being very poor, she was glad to dress her children in the new clothes and to find that they fitted well. The cakes were of wheaten bread and had a honey flavor. It was a great delight to the children to eat them. The lady did not return that day or the next day. Weeks went past, and the women nursed the strange child. Months went past, and still the lady stayed away. On many a morning, wheaten cakes with honey flavor were found in the house. And when the children's clothes were nearly worn out, new clothing was provided for them as mysteriously as before. Summer came on, and one evening the lady, clad in green, again entered the house. A child who was playing on the floor stretched forth her hands to grasp the shining silver spangles that adorned her gown. But to her surprise, her hands passed through them as if they were sunbeams. Passed through them as if they were sunbeams. The woman perceived this and knew that her visitor was a fairy. Said the fairy lady, "You have been kind to my bonny baby. I will now take her away." The woman was sorry to part with the child and said, "You have a right to her, but I love her dearly." Said the fairy, "Come with me and I shall show you my house." The woman went outside with the fairy. They walked through a wood together and then began to climb a green hill on a sunny side. When they were halfway to the top, the fairy said something that the woman did not understand. No sooner had she spoken than the turf on the bank in front of them lifted up and revealed a door. Let's go back here for a second and meditate on this passage. The being, the fairy, we'll go ahead and say this is a variation of a nature spirit. Come with me, and I shall show you my house. The women went outside with the fairy. They walked through a wood together. They began to climb a green hill, and on the sunny side, when they were halfway to the top, the fairy said something that the woman did not understand. Said something that the woman did not understand. No sooner had she spoken than the turf on the bank in front of them lifted up and revealed a door. This door opened, and the two entered through the doorway. When they did so, the turf came down and the door was shut. The woman found herself in a bare chamber, which was dimly lit. The woman found herself in a bare chamber that was dimly lit. Does this make sense to you? Even though this is the first time you're hearing this? Is something resonating on a level you can't explain? The woman found herself in a bare chamber, which was dimly lighted. "Now you shall see my home," said the fairy woman, who took from her waist belt a goblet containing a green liquid. She dropped 3 drops of this liquid in the woman's left eye and said, "Look now." Look now. The woman looked and was filled with wonder. A beautiful country had stretched out in front of her. There were green hills fringed with trees, crystal strings flashing in the sunshine, and a lake that shone like burnished silver. Between the hills, there lay a field of ripe barley. The fairy then dropped 3 drops of the green liquid in the woman's eye and said, "Look now." 3 drops. Well, that's like a triangle. The woman looked. She saw men and women she had known in times past cutting the barley and gathering fruit from the trees. She cried out, "I see many who have once lived on earth and who have long been dead. What are they doing here?" Said the fairy. "These people are suffering punishment for their evil deeds." When she had spoken thus, the fairy woman passed her hands over the woman's eyes, and the vision of the green hills and harvest fields and reapers vanished at once. She found herself standing once more in the bare, dimly lighted chamber. Then the fairy gave her gifts of cloth and healing ointments, and leading her to the door, bade her farewell. The door opened, the turf was lifted up, and the woman left the fairy's dwelling and returned to her home. For a time she kept the power of seeing the fairies as they went to and fro near her house. But one day she spoke to one of them, and the fairy asked, "With which eyes do you see me?" "From which eyes do you see me?" Said the woman, "I see you with both of my eyes." The fairy breathed on her eyes and then was lost to sight. Never again did the woman behold the fairies, for the power that had been given to her was taken away from her eyes by this fairy to whom she had spoken. Children of the bridal chamber. Seekers of a personal marriage with the divine referred to as children of the bridal chamber. They believe that love and wisdom are interdependent, and true enlightenment brings intellectual as well as spiritual self-transformation. The ritual was known to offer a potential of enormous personal development for ordinary people accustomed to scratching an existence from land and looking at a world no further than its observable boundaries. A definitive moral life, bookended by birth and physical death. You know what? We'll put this away for right now because that first part was the part that I wanted to read. instead of going and highlighting that, I'm not going to continue to read something that's it requires citing and things like that. So Raymond Moody last Saturday, I think it was, I was able to experience that 2-hour live stream. I'm not going to go over that again. That was great. And so to honor that, I figured I would take out one of his recent books and read something from it about his near-death experience. Now, he has a thyroid type of issue that is rare, and it causes all kinds of things to happen that when it was happening to him, he didn't have proper diagnosis, and it led to things that basically, to make a long story short, led up to him actually making a suicide attempt because things were completely out of balance with this thyroid problem he was having. And so he actually had a near-death experience. And the conclusion of that, and I'm going to read a couple passages from that, was this feeling of unity and love and the strong feeling that we have a purpose for being in this soul container body, a purpose. And people that experience light phenomena as well, such as, I argue, the only modern mass witnessed phenomenon anybody should be thinking about, which Phoenix Lights, talked about that about a year ago, had these feelings that also will resonate within sacred sites as long as you're polarizing properly and you care about others. And when people go through these different experiences where they access let's just say light from another dimension, and you're polarizing properly, you have this feeling of unity. And it's particularly interesting when you have academic people or open-minded academic people that also veer into they're open, like Raymond Moody. And I wouldn't consider him an academic anymore, but back when he was having his suicide attempt problem, when he was in the process of figuring out this thyroid diagnosis, having someone like that go through an experience and still come up with that end result, that mentality, is pretty amazing. And I'll go ahead and read this little part from his book, Paranormal. And it's really good to think about these type of stories when you're within a space. And of course, if there's no one here, it's irrelevant. You could watch the recording of this. That's not important. It doesn't have to be live, to think about. It's important to think about these types of events because it helps you see through the confusion and the hypnosis that everyone's going through right now. So grab that book. Okay, so we'll just jump to this part, and then I'll skip around. This is just a couple pages. So he was talking about his experience. This is Raymond Moody from Paranormal. I don't think it's there's anything wrong with reading just a couple paragraphs from a book. You know, the site, here's the citing right here. This is the book. And so he's talking about this experience. Felt like an elephant was sitting on his chest. His eyes were, and I forget exactly what he did. I'm not going to go back, and that's irrelevant. I don't know if it might have been pills or something. I forget that part. I'm just going to jump right. I had read this book a while ago, so I'm just going to jump right to the actual experience. So he says, an elephant was sitting on my chest. My eyes were closed, or at least I think they were. Either way, I could see nothing. My heart stopped. What happened next is almost indescribable, but I will do my best to make it less so. I could feel myself separate from the world around me. In a funny way, it was almost like cellophane being pulled off a smooth surface. One reality separating from another. I sensed spirits around me, helpful presences who were there to guide me through this separation. I tried to see these spirit guides, but I could not make them out because I was surrounded by light that was not of this world. I could hear them speaking, and although I couldn't make out what was being said, their presence was soothing and calm, and I felt a radiant love from them. Now here is where I can interject and talk about how when you're here in this dimension and you're at a location and you're trying to utilize positive energy, and as I said right now, the only thing you're ever supposed to be thinking about are about guides that are beyond 5D. We're going straight to 6, 7. This is the type, you're going to the same place. And these are the types of feelings you have when you begin to unlock the spirit energy. And you have access to this ether. This type of feeling that he said in the last couple of sentences, where you could hear voices, but you couldn't quite make it out. I tried to see these spirit guides, but I could not make them out because I was surrounded by a light that was not of this world. I could hear them speaking, and although I couldn't make out what was being said, their presence was soothing and calm, and I felt a radiant love from them. You can have this type of a variation of this type of a connection right now. And the powers that be don't want people to be doing this. There's ways to access this type of a connection without actually being declared dead, And that's what's so confusing. It's because with this shroud the planet has over its consciousness, having access to that pure light and the entities behind that connection is hard. And for people that have figured out how to unwind their spirit organ, just like the tuning forks you see on the headdresses of that Egyptian art, it's important for those people like myself to identify with an element of this description of a near-death experience, because the future, if the planet were to, through the right event, show proof of the soul, which people all around the globe right now can do, then access to this type of their presence was soothing and calm, and I felt a radiant love from them, would be the dominant description, instead of people thinking that if or say someone has a spirit guide appear to them in 3D, well, they're going to think it's an alien, okay, because of because of the disclosure movement, and then automatically they'll polarize away from being able to feel that radiant love. And so it's important to see this connection here to this place that is well known through near-death experience. Like, people understand there's this realm of light where you have oftentimes a life review. In this case, I don't think he does, and I'll continue reading in a second. And we hear about Anita Morgioni, who I mentioned a lot, who had cancer, riddled, lungs were filling up with fluid, died, okay, and then went and had a meeting with these beings, came back, and she's alive today. All the cancer disappeared. It's access. And part of what I think that modern grid workers need to do is wake people up to the fact that access to this healing world of light is available. And it seems like people have been sent here and they need to wake back up to certain abilities that they used to have. And it's real, because in my case, I had no interest in anything supernatural until seeing phenomenon over and over and over again. And then I was led to all of a sudden find at least 10 ways of being able to connect, which I don't talk about. I don't talk about that because my path involves entertainment only being obtained by means not related to a super sensible realm. Like, if I put on a funny jacket or dance, that's fine, but I can't gain entertainment by telling someone how to make a device where you can capture entities. So it doesn't even matter anyways, because it also has to be approved and turned on. You can't just create a device that captures entities. You have to have it activated. And then it has to continue to be activated. So here's this, so that description. One of the things that happens to people too when they're waking up, which a lot of times begins within a telluric area, is they'll just start to understand things about descriptions like this. And when I was talking to Raymond Moody in that little 5-minute segment, I almost wish I would have gone on a little bit longer, because a lot of the other people went way longer, but I almost started to talk about this thing that happened with my stepmother, where when she was in her well, it was more than just a hospice. This was like her final room, like a hospital room. She made me put on glasses because she started laughing, and she had spinal cancer. So we don't want her laughing. I felt kind of bad, where she was like, put on glasses because she saw something in my eyes, And what I think is going on is when you're actively polarizing positive and you want to be on a mission to continuously help people and propagate spirit energy, there is a visual sign of that in the form of this light. Now, I've been able to see air and types of light since I was 15, which I talked about last weekend. But what she was seeing was something that I don't understand what she was seeing, but it is another sign from this area, this realm that Raymond Moody is talking about. And I was getting ready to talk about that when I was in the question section with Raymond Moody last Saturday, and then I switched gears. But I want to stress how when you see these connections, whether it's someone who's actually flatlined or someone who's just began having medium or psychic abilities, you'll start to see a type of community that you feel at home with, you know? So I could hear them speaking, and though I couldn't make out what was being said, their presence was soothing and calm, and I felt a radiant love from them. I didn't have an opportunity to examine myself in this state, to see what I looked like or was made of. And I didn't have the time. I would have liked to try to make contact with the spirits. Instead, I felt myself start up again as the doctors pumped my stomach and gave me a shot of a stimulant to the heart. The light went away, the spirits were there no more, and I came to an emergency room. That's what it's all about. I said to myself, that's what it's all about. I said to myself as I lay there on the bed, I didn't feel I'd been dead long enough to have a classic near-death experience. But at least I got close enough to see the city limits. I was oddly pleased. After defining, naming, and studying near-death experiences, I could now say I had one. And yes, it was real. I lay in the bed reliving the experience. There was nothing unreal about it. If anything, it was almost mundane, as though I'd opened a door and walked into a strange room. Wow, that's a great description. I wondered what would have happened if my heart had been stopped longer. Would the spirit beings around me have become visible? And were they the people I knew and loved? Would the light have changed and become that palpable and mystical light so many talk about? Would my life have come back to see me in a review? Would I have been introduced into a life after life, his term there? And so then I'm going to go to the next page. So how this concludes where it says, I also bring in the data about people who have tried to commit suicide and had near-death experiences before being revived. These people say that they will never again try to kill themselves. So these are the people he's saying here, after studying this, these people say that they will never again try to kill themselves, not because they fear going to hell, but because they have learned that life does have a purpose. And I think that's also a really important connection towards NDEs and people who are just waking up to this new form of consciousness that's available, is you realize, and when I think I can say objectively, that people realize impermanence, and it's more than just purpose. It feels like a mission. Like you're now on a mission to seek out a better way of life, like a better way of living here on this planet, a completely different type of living, where our interests have transcended, art has transcended. So I've read something from Intro to Lost Art of Resurrection. There's no chatbot usage here. I pick a topic and you get the book. You read it, and it has, what? Oh, tells you where all the sources are from in the back. It's not just typing something, bibliography, right? Sorry, I wasn't trying to be sarcastic, you know. And this is a life account, so you're not going to find that in this one. Again, showing the sources. And having a book collection is something that you should be proud of, you know, being able to go back in and look at your favorite parts, see the areas that had a particular interest to you. So I can just open this book up anywhere and this one it was more of like a life account, so I didn't really mark up that one, but this one here, this one's got a bunch of great. Oh, okay, here's a good little passage. You can just open this up anywhere in a Freddie Silva book and get something amazing. Talking about Mayan, or at one of the oldest inhabited Mayan temple cities. I'm going to try to pronounce this, Oxkentak. There is an unusual rectangular building by the name of, here we go, Zat Chun Zat, set in the west side of the complex that was once described as an artificial cave without end. Its vaulted tunnels connected by small gates and narrow stairs, giving the impression of an ancient labyrinth, the purpose of which was for a candidate to fumble his or her way in the dark so as to physically experience the journey of the discombobulated soul through the other world. The concept is identical to the story of Theseus, the Cretan hero. And, you know, this is a great book where you can just sort of go through different cultures and see this link. This link, which I guess leads up to this Christ figure, Jesus Christ, which people in positive occult studies know is just a man who practiced, was basically an animist, not a monotheist. And he was just engaging in this ancient practice, which appears throughout history over and over, which is a living art of resurrection. These characters, these biblical characters did exist, and they went through this. They went through this process. No one actually died. And you went into a chamber. The reason why I'm bringing up these random topics is these are all linked to what I've been talking about how people who went through these ancient processes were actually working on something. They were working on a spiritual stream that can be accessed in different ways. And it was all leading up to a time in this planet's history that it's never seen before. Current times, where an outside force was so strong, an outside consciousness that mingles with the negative spirit particles, which already exist. There's negative and positive, and has the power to completely hypnotize, manipulate the public. They could now access what all these people were working on in all these ritual chambers, where they were going to the other side, meeting through initiation entities, and then coming back, and then having these locations set up geometrically, a lot of times in isosceles, triangle formation. They were doing something, but they're also preparing the future for something. And these chambers remind modern people that used to do something. It's time to wake up. And these locations act as mnemonic cues. But these mnemonic cues are spiritual mnemonic cues. And so as we sit here in a location that's linked up with places that have these initiation chambers, we remind ourselves of that link. And although the consciousness grid is fragmented, as I was saying last week, you can work your way through it. And you have to work through it. As I sit here and calm my mind, I feel the amazing energy of this location. And I feel and experience the presence of the people that have passed, that have gathered in this room for Christmas, for birthdays at this table for the past 23 years. And turn the bittersweet sadness into a celebration that can be experienced by sitting still and calming the mind and tapping in to that stream that the monks, the Templar monks who helped set up that symbol on the shield, which is the light photon, and allowing future generations to see that their symbol was the light photon, and to find out that there were underground locations where light was being manipulated under the radar from the Inquisition, under the radar from the powers that be. This stream still exists. This stream can be accessed through deeds, through way of life, through discipline, dedication, focus, and regulation of the breathing and the piezoelectric nature of this soul container, and learning to filter the soul through the piezoelectricity and then polarize properly. As Raymond Moody said in the end of that paragraph, that there is that feeling of a purpose. And there is a place where love is a substance. And when my stepmother, the person who would prepare all the classic meals at this table, past 20 some years, for 20 1 years roughly. She said when she was on her deathbed that she could feel the love as if it were a substance. And she pulled me aside because she knew that I had calibrated my mind, that I could handle that information. And she pulled me aside, or didn't pull me aside because she couldn't really move, but she was like, come to this space, come closer. I can feel the love. This wasn't medication. She was speaking to me on a certain level we had developed, a level of trust where words lose meaning and take on an explanation. They take on a linguistic variation that is learned as two people are going through supersensible experiences. And you learn how to alter words to make them define inexplicable phenomena. And we were on a certain level there towards the end where saying that I feel the love in the last hours was a lesson that I already knew what it meant. But as I was pursuing the research into what I now has led me to become a mystery teacher and lead myself through initiation, that meaning of the realm where time, the substance here, is removed and your reality outside of the body enters in to a realm of pure love. To hear that actually come from a person, I've heard like Ram Dass, 10 years ago, I heard him talk about that. And he would, and in his last years, he would always speak like that, the ocean of love and things like that. But hearing her say that and look at you, after they were making you put on sunglasses because there was something coming from your eyes that they could see and that hospice people can see. This is also a message from your guides to pick up the metallic sword, pick up the Christ impulse, non-religious terms. They are positive occult terms. And wake up to that responsibility, because this is happening right now. People, have been being called now since 2022 and beyond. And more specifically, something happened in 2022. And if we can go back again and analyze that Raymond Woody 5-minute segment that I put on my X page, he says something about, I agree with you on the time shift, because I had said something about time shift. He goes, especially in the past couple years. See how these are linking up? What would he mean by that, especially in the past couple of years? Well, we can sit here and meditate on that. Did he mean age? No, I think he means something was loosening up in the past couple of years. And sorry, I've been trying to, I don't even think anybody's here, but I've been trying to wait using the restroom. I'll be right back. I'm exploding here. I'm drinking a lot of water. So this is a form of therapy for me that I can have as a record of the last hours in this special spot. If anybody happens to tune in, you have to be of a certain mindset, but I'm here to answer questions. So, oops. Okay, I don't know. I don't know if I had, let's see here. I can't quite see what I'm typing here. Okay, so it's Friday night. I don't expect anybody to be popping in here, but there's, I'm sure there's some individuals who are just sitting around and they're, wanting just to be in a space where there's some meditation going on, and I might pop back out to the garage. You do need to charge this. Let's see here. I need to charge this computer. It's good to be able to learn to not have any expectations and sit in a space where grieving is okay. And tonight there is a positive type of grieving. As I said an hour or two ago, I sort of compartmentalized my grieving for the passing of my stepmother a couple years ago into this location, because I could sort of experience her presence in a heightened sense because of having my spirit organ unwound, pineal gland, proboscis. And so it is affecting me because the property, the location here. Now you can go to any location, anywhere, and build up this resonance, the spiritual resonance. But she lived here, so there is more of an immediate record of her presence. Just to say something that doesn't, one of those phrases that don't really have an explanation. And that's why it's important for me just to sit here. And even if I'm not speaking, another person can jump in and experience a type of healing that can happen when Spiritual workers are going through impermanence and accepting that impermanence. Because what's going on here right now with overcoming the loss of this location is a sending off of sorts. As I know, people are drawn to locations. So I'm sure that the next people that occupy this place are supposed to occupy it. It's so strong here that I feel confident that will happen. As soon as I sit here with my consciousness calibrated to a certain level, ready to answer questions if anybody pops in, I understand that this is a good thing. This is also a celebration. And so this is therapy, and it's live, and I have no ego problems here. There's nothing theatrical. I was going to play saxophone. I decided not to. And being that it's after midnight, that's probably not a great idea because the windows seem a little thin around here. I can hear the birds very well out there. I can hear cars going by. So a horn probably wouldn't be the greatest idea. And the last 3 times I did something from this property, there was a lot of that going on. We don't need that because tonight it's stripped back and we're focusing on a space. And this light, which I think the battery is about to run out of behind me, is a great visualization. And that light is also being passed through positive spirit aether right now as we sit here. So this light here is a healing light. It's a special healing significance. We can sit here and you can even use that to zone out to. I think I've got 1 bar left on that. I'll hook it up to an adapter. And there may be a guy that's going to come over here and do some plumbing work. I think he forgot a tool because he left. He hasn't came back. I don't know if he will be coming back. So I could be in the garage and it could open up and this person could appear. I'm not sure. But I'm going to keep this going a little bit because I believe in the power of not only having a space, but recording long-form spiritual content. I do this with music as well. Most of it I don't even release, and I'll just hit the record button. And Raymond Moody last Saturday was talking about creativity as well, and I totally agree that when you're making art, you can experience that other realm, and it's almost like channeling. I mean, it's like everybody has a way to channel a higher dimension, but we don't even really think about it. And I have hours and hours of recordings where I have no recollection of how I did it. I mean, of course, you have the basic instrument and you knew, okay, I'm playing a keyboard or I'm playing a woodwind. But most of the time, when I do the type of music that I do, it is exiting this plane and going to a space where you just receive something. There's times where I felt like I've received John Coltrane, or like he's came through the saxophone a couple times. And does that mean that I can play like that? No, I can't play like a Juilliard student, not at all. but maybe for a couple licks where you'll go back and listen to something and you'll go, man, where did that come from? In living with this access that currently we have to use sites to get access to, things like that, not just sites, but a way of life, would be an everyday thing. Like you would have, second. Just 1 second. I sit here and propagate spirit energy from a location that has seen a time shift where angelic entities have came through. And anybody that believes that can tap in to a particular type of access. This is a space of healing. A space of coming to terms with the nature of reality. Because time is a substance. And it's a substance that can be manipulated. And you can have some of time extracted. And as I sit here, I ask for time to loosen up and to let in the healing, mysterious, beautiful light. This is serious light work, which requires serious consciousness calibration. There are people that can save this planet. And if they wake up simultaneously, massive change can happen. I block out all sounds except for the dryer running downstairs. I embrace quiet. For people who have not calmed their mind, quiet can be disturbing. If quiet bothers you, something is wrong. You need to be able to put away all devices where someone can get a hold of you for extended periods of time. In a future world where the spiritual consciousness of a planet has moved to the first phase, people can sit for extended periods of time in silence, and they wouldn't need a phone or a device if there was an emergency, because they would know psychically if something was wrong with one of their friends or family members. So they wouldn't have to worry about that element of locking away a phone for 4 or 5 hours at a time. You have to honor your consciousness by setting aside time for mature, disciplined meditation. Being aware involves filtering out distraction, filtering out hypnosis, I will clear my mind waves from hypnosis. I breathe in the energy, the love. breathe out jealousy, the hatred of the world, meaning the people within the world that hate. I release their anger for them. I breathe in the energy of the spirit stream, which is made strong by this property and through an individual who has unwound their spirit organ through service to others, positive, in aligning themselves geometrically to be able to build and tap into ancient thought forms. I do not want subscribers. I do not want you to hit the like button. I want you to wake up. I want you to ask questions that would normally be hard to ask. I am willing at any time to talk about death, supersensible realm, or any other matters that may be considered difficult, I calibrate my mind to receive the loving consciousness stream that has been set up at this location. A meditation with one or two initiates could affect the re-establishment of the consciousness grid in a way that 10,000 people uncalibrated couldn't. You have to have your mind quiet and calibrated to be able to properly polarize. In my mind, I ask my guides to help me. To help me help other people. Wake up from hypnosis. It will be hard leaving this space of peace. Where an opening in another dimension has been established and maintained through discipline, volunteer work, and a multiplicity of service to others. My stepmother, who I can feel here in this room. Had a ward in a hospital named after her for her service to others. And her stream is linking up with the telluric properties and allowing a union I pour my heart out for those that have lost someone. I identify. I care. I remember my stepmother's final series of words and how she described the ocean of love. I can't describe it, she says, as she was smiling. It's love. It's just love. She was describing home. And giving me the message, one of the most important messages, a reminder that we are here for a purpose. And we will return to a loving place where everything will make sense instantaneously. Just like when people have near-death experience and their entire life is reviewed in what would seem like a matter of minutes. Many people describe when they're in this realm, standing next to an entity that shows them this review. They describe being shown the meaning of everything, and they understand the meaning of everything. But when they come back from nonlinear time, there's no longer a way to describe it. So they're left with that description. I embrace the silence around me. And I'm grateful for this time. That I have in this spot where just a few feet that direction, me and my stepmother, as well as my father, witnessed a late phenomena 6 feet off the ground. This pestle that I'm holding here is becoming extremely light. Things are loosening up around me right now. It's like it's barely even in my hands. Something strange is going on. I can barely hold the pestle. My hands feel extremely light and large. The atmosphere has changed. I will put on a sizzle jacket and smoke some cannabis in the garage. like to place cameras in the light. I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure if that's a dance or. Oh, we had someone else join. Does that mean I gotta dance some more? Oh, guess not. Whew. Get some good exercise tonight. Oh, Mr. Phillip is the man. Yeah, this is not the most entertaining show tonight, but there's a lot of meditation going on. There's good reading. And most importantly, it's this spot in the last hours of it being available. A lot of magic has happened in my life, a lot of good memories, a lot of good holiday meals. Some good concentrate in here. Put that into the old the Puffco Peak. Smoking the concentrates. Yeah, well, I appreciate it, man. Like, you either get it or you don't. It's like an art film or something. Yeah, Puffco. I had see this thing here. Like, this is my second Puffco experience. I like how there's this light right in my face. I actually like that. The first one was Puffco Peak, but it was the experimental one that was like had a flaw in it. It had like a major flaw in it, and of course that's the one I bought. It was like $300, and then they immediately. It's never a good sign when they come out with like a new variation of that one. It was like the Puffco Peak Plus or something, and then you can't find anything for the original one. That's always the stuff that I buy. The stuff that has some like faulty part on it. I bought a Roland SP 555 sampling machine back in like 2008. And like the week after I bought it, micro SD cards came out because it ran on something called a flash card. And so micro SD cards come out like the next day and it's like obsolete. I still am using it. It's a great piece. It's a great instrument, but Yeah, that was like the Puffco. So, it doesn't matter if anybody didn't show up, man. It's like you can always watch man, being serious, when you watch repeat footage of something, like if someone films an anomaly, which you shouldn't do, but if they filmed it for their own personal use, family, what have you, you go back and look at it and gain something. And I have a couple of those that I think are okay for people to look at. And it doesn't have to be live, but there is definitely a significance of tuning into a space. But you can still benefit. I'm smoking in the ground. If it was at my apartment, I would just be smoking. I'm going to try to respect the fact that this place is on the market and that realtor is coming in. Thing bangs. It bangs. It's funny that when you asked me, yeah, it bangs, man. When you asked me that question about psychedelics or whatever, and I started talking about psychedelics, ended up getting like 400 views. And you know me, I don't go for views. I just thought it was kind of funny how you propagated that conversation, Mr. Phillip, and it turned into this kind of a funny. And then when I talk about X views, I just post these things on X. I've never got more than I think 10 views on my YouTube page. I put I mark them all under one tag or whatever the one. I know there's actually no tags, I think, on most of them, but yeah, man, it's still lingering here. Oh, that's a light effect, but yeah, and by the way, I haven't changed the coil on this thing. This is the original coil, and it's been 3 months. It's my main smoking device, so I have to say, man, it's pretty good buy. Is it messy? Yeah, it's a little bit messy. It's probably just because I'm not using it properly. What's going on? What's going on? You guys gonna send Dave this one? Never got a chance to send him this jacket. Someone's got to wear it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's gonna get this one. And there was other ones that he got that he didn't wear because he started to get depressed. But in his closet, there's a dashiki, some plastic Galian gloves. I forgot if he had gloves, so I sent him some alien hands. Sent him a watch that I got. It was worth $500. 100 pages and letters. But yeah, this one was gonna, if I would have timed it out a little bit better, we would have gotten to see the man wear this one, the lapels. He would have loved these. It's funny, the first time I sent him, he was like, it fits perfectly.
Like it's Taylor. Yeah, no, those weren't. Oh, so if you remember the hands, that means he already had alien hands. Because I sent him another pair, I forgot. So yeah, I wasn't sure, wasn't quite sure. But whatever, they might have been a different type of alien hand that he could have used for his alien character. You know, I have Waking Up in the Dream book out in my car. Maybe I could read something from that. There's a great dream technique that he talked about. Okay, I gotta get out of the garage. What is this? Hold on. Good there. I should be walking around.
Whoa, what?
Oh. Hold on the line. There you go.
And as I sit here, I realize that I think I've made it 20 minutes without talking. And that's important. I sit here with the knowledge propagated by occurrence in this hotspot. The knowledge that the entire world could shift their consciousness if they were given the ability to see an event. That certain people around the globe can make it happen right now. Can you do something with your mind? Are you afraid to reach out? I clear my mind waves of any interference. I allow for the currents of the property within the geometric formation to take over. My mind is calm. My awareness is calibrated. I have paid proper attention to the spiritual currents, the telluric currents running underneath the property. I have engaged in service to others to enhance my connection with the spirit stream. I have learned to enjoy the hospice work. I have learned that there are phases which the crop circles indicate. Crop circles, waves. waveforms, the spherical end point, circle, mind waves, four phases. You will pass each phase and will see an anomaly each time. Each time it will contain a color. A color indicates progress. The color can be seen and experienced. The crop circles that indicate the map of consciousness depict a process. Stages. One of these stages takes place in dreams. These are the maps. This is the way to activate the tuning fork. In the initiation dream, I see myself. I approach myself from the sky in black and white. Why is it black and white? Dave said something.